All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to learn our very first word in Python. Think of it like this. This is the first step, the absolute beginning of telling a computer exactly what you want it to do. And you know what? It's way easier than you probably think.
So before we even look at a single line of code, let's start with a really simple question. How do you get a computer to talk back to you? How do you make it show you a message or a result or even just a simple hello? Well, it all boils down to one single powerful command. And here it is. The word is print. Now, in the world of programming, print has nothing to do with a physical printer or paper. Not at all. It just means one thing. Hey, computer, show this on the screen. This one little word is our direct line of communication, our way to get a response.
Okay, so we've got our command print, but here's the first really important thing you need to know. To a computer, there is a huge difference between regular words and numbers. It sees them as two totally different things, and we have to be super clear about which one we're giving it.
See those little quotation marks? They are absolutely crucial. Anytime you want to print text, what programmers call a string, you have to wrap it in quotes. Those quotes are like a signal to Python that says, hey, this is just a bunch of characters. Don't try to understand it or do math with it, just show it exactly as it is.
But what happens if we take those quotes away? Well, if you give the print function numbers without any quotes, Python's brain totally switches gears. It sees 3 plus 4 and thinks, oh, that's a math problem. I know how to solve that. It doesn't just show you 3 plus 4, it actually does the calculation for you.
And this slide just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, with quotes, Python is just a parrot, repeating the text we gave it. But on the right, without the quotes, it becomes a calculator and gives us the real answer, 7. So the takeaway is simple, right? Quotes are for text, no quotes for math.
Awesome. So we can make the computer talk and we can make it do basic math, but what about controlling how it talks? We can actually add a little style and control the formatting of our output, kind of like adding punctuation to a sentence to make it clearer.
For starters, you don't have to print just one thing at a time. If you separate different items with a comma inside the print function, Python will display all of them, one after the other. And did you notice what it does automatically? It puts a nice clean space between each item for us. Super helpful.
But we're not stuck with that space if we don't want it. We can easily customize that separator. By adding this little argument, sep equals a dash. We're just telling Python, hey, instead of a space, use a dash between these things. And just like that, the output changes.
There's another default setting we can change. You see, normally, after a print command is done, it automatically jumps down to a new line, like hitting the Enter key. But by adding end equals empty, we're telling it, nope, don't do that. Just stay where you are. This lets us string multiple print commands together to build one continuous line of text. Okay, we've got some really powerful tools now, but let's look at the modern, professional way to solve a super common problem, mixing plain text with data. In programming, we often store data in something called a variable. You can just think of it as a labeled box that holds a value. So how do we neatly mix our text with whatever is inside that box? So yeah, that's the real challenge. Let's say you have a variable for age and it holds the number 15. You want to print a nice, clean sentence like, I am 15 years old. How do you combine the text part and the variable part without the code becoming messy and hard to read?
Well, we've already seen a couple of ways we could try. Using a comma works, but it puts in that automatic space, which we might not want. Using a plus sign is another way, but that gets complicated. It forces us to manually convert the number 15 into text. Both of these methods feel a little clunky, don't they?
Yeah, they get the job done, but there has to be a cleaner, more readable, and honestly, more powerful way. And there is. That brings us to the modern solution, something called f-strings.
Okay, now this is cool. Look how clean and readable that is. By putting a single letter F right before the opening quote, you basically turn on a superpower for your string. Now you can just drop your variables right inside the text by wrapping them in these curly braces. Python just grabs the value from the age variable and slots it perfectly into the sentence. No extra commas, no weird conversions, it just works. This is so powerful because you're constantly building dynamic messages with data in programming.
All right, for our last topic, let's talk about something that the computer could not care less about, but is incredibly important for us humans, leaving little notes for ourselves right there inside the code. This is what we call a comment. It's any bit of text that starts with the hash symbol, or the pound sign. The second Python sees that symbol, it just completely ignores everything that comes after it on that line. A comment's only job is to let you explain what your code is doing to other people, or even to your future self. And you can put them anywhere. You can have a comment on its own line to explain the next big chunk of code, or you can tack one onto the end of a line to explain what that one specific command does. It's all about making your code more readable and understandable for people.
So let's do a quick recap. Print shows things on the screen. Quotes are for text, no quotes for math. Sep and end let us customize how it looks. F-strings are the absolute best way to mix text and variables together, and the hash symbol lets us leave comments for humans. That's it! You just mastered the core building blocks of displaying information in Python.
And there you have it. You now officially know how to make a computer talk. You've learned your very first and maybe the most important word in Python. So the only question left is, what are you going to make it say first? Thanks for joining me.